Hi, thank you to NCTE for asking me to make this video. My name is Marcy Campbell, and I am an author of picture books and middle grade novels. And I'd like to focus on question number 3 pertaining to social justice. My first picture book was Adrian Simcox Does Not Have a Horse, and this concerns issues of economic inequality and the power of imagination to help kids from different backgrounds come together. But today I want to focus more on my most recent book, which is called Something Good. This is a book I made with Karina Lukin. And at its heart, this is really a book about the healing power of community. Now, in this story, some girls get into some trouble when there is something bad written on a bathroom wall. And we meet these girls very early on as they're called into the principal's office and looking pretty worried. This book is based on some events that happened to me in real life. There was an incident of hate speech at our local high school several years ago. And right around that same time, something happened at the elementary school where something was written on a bathroom wall. I don't know what that was, but I was a parent volunteer at the time. I came in one afternoon a week. And so I could see the change that was happening in those kids that I'd come to know pretty well by that point. Karina also captured that experience of mine very beautifully. In this spread where all the kids are looking at each other in their desks, everyone had a different reaction, both in the book and in real life. You know, some kids got worried or upset or sad or angry, but they were all acting a little bit differently from how they usually acted. They just weren't trusting each other very much as a result of both the things that were happening right in their classroom and the larger events that everyone was talking about in our community at that time. So there's a line from the book also, which Karina captures beautifully. And it's on this page, and the line is, "We were meaner than we used to be." Now, this is a line that I wrote in my very first notes. It was one of the first lines I wrote. And it never changed throughout all the drafts. And this is something that I was feeling myself. I wrote this book in the winter of 2018. And at that time, I was probably watching a little too much news and feeling pretty sad about how people were treating each other so poorly. And I found myself actually being meaner than I used to be, just like the kids in this book. You know, I might watch the news and then I'd snap at my kids or something like that. So I could see that happening in my own life. And when we look at this page in the book, and when I talk to kids about this, I like to point out first, Devin. Devin is a boy in the class who, in this spread, is just going to sharpen his pencil, and he trips and everyone laughs. And this is after this bad thing was found in the bathroom. And everyone's meaner than they used to be. And so I talk to kids about what it feels like to be Devin in that picture, because we've all felt like that before. But I also talk about what it feels like to be the kids who are laughing. Because if we're really honest with ourselves, you know, as kids and as grown-ups, we know that at some point we've also been the kids who are laughing. In the book, there's a wonderful principal named Mrs. Martinez who talks to the kids and helps them to find that goodness that she knows is inside of them. But she also admits that sometimes they're not kind, that all of us have moments when we're not as kind as we can be. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, because the whole idea of banning books and not talking about things that make us uncomfortable, you know, something uncomfortable happens in this story, but they have to talk about it in order to move forward and make something better. And so it bothers me that people aren't wanting to discuss issues that might be painful or uncomfortable, whether in our present or past or distant past. And I feel that as an author and as a parent and as a human, it's my job to push back against thinking like that. So I'm really glad that you're having this conference and talking about these issues. That gives me a lot of hope. We're all part of communities, and it's our jobs to collectively work together to make them better. I added actually an author's note to this book, kind of late in the game, imploring the grown-ups who read it to do that hard work of advocating for policies and programs that really lift up and respect and value all children. And I mean that on a national level, of course, but I mean it locally too. I'm recording this the day before the election. So this kind of work starts in our communities and with city councils and school boards and all of that. And I hope everyone will join me in doing that work. As I talk about connections before I end, um, that's something that really helped me write this book because I was writing it initially from a place of sadness. And I just thought about how much we were connected to each other. And Karina found a cool way to draw that. Throughout the book, there are these lines and shapes that kind of morph and change depending on what's going on in the background. And in the end, Karina has the kids, the kids create a mural, and Karina has these lines come together to make something really beautiful. So the kids have taken this bad something that happened to them and they've changed it by making something really good on top of it. And I hope that kids who read it and grown-ups will read it and think about the kind of good things that they can bring about in their own communities. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great conference.